Kawamina Proto-moto Desk, and welcome back to another deck profile. So today we have Rescue Ace. So Rescue Ace is the newest archetype out of Amazing Defenders. It's a mixture of Fire Warrior and Fire Machine monsters, and this is something I kind of cobbled together with what I've been testing so far. So this is the Pure variant, and later on, next week, we will have the Machina variant, so stay tuned for that video, so like and subscribe. But let's get right into it. So first, starting off, we have our Rescue Ace Hygiene. We play 3 copies of this card because this is our main go-to starter. Hygiene opens up everything to your extenders, to your other copies of your higher level monsters to go into your Link monsters. So we play 3 copies of Hydrant. Next up, we'll play 3 copies of Airlifter. Airlifter allows you to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your hand when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field. The reason why I play 3 of these is because it's searchable, and it's also a generic level 4 that we can play within the deck. And then moving on, we play 3 copies of Impulse. Impulse allows you to choose one effect monsters your opponent controls and with the highest attack, and neither player can activate that monster effects on the field of turn. So it's really good if your opponent has a really high level or high attack monster on the field, and then be like, okay, gonna say no to that, and then I'll distribute this off the field to special one Rescue Ace monster from my deck. So that also could go into your copy of your level 7s, 6s, or 9s, and allows you to kind of spin more of your main deck out onto your field. Next up, play 3 copies of Ace Fire Engine. Some people don't like to play this card, but I'm playing this specifically because I run a level rank 7 XCs, and you kind of need multiple level 7s on the field. So if a Rescue Ace monster is normal summon or special summon to your field, except Fire Engine, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a monster is special summon from your opponent's field, you can special summon level 4 or lower Rescue Ace monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So it also extends on your opponent's turn, and then you activate their effects. Next, we play 1 copy of Fire Attacker. Fire Attacker was a kind of hit or miss kind of card for me. While it's okay draw power wise, it does still rely on that little caveat of your opponent activating a card to add to their hand. Next up, for the final monster of Rescue Ace, we play 2 copies of Turbulence. So the way you get Turbulence out is by banishing 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard. And then during your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells or normal chops with different names from your deck to your field. So basically, you'll be setting all 4 of those cards, each one. So basically going from ACE and R. Next up, we play 2 copies of True King Agnumazud, the Vanisher. So this allows you to dump resources into graveyard for your copy of... Next up, we play 2 copies of True King Agnumazud, the Vanisher. So True King in this deck is interesting because it does gain the secondary effect. Allows you to open up to more extenders. For example, you use this effect to destroy 2 fire monsters in your hand, which will be any of these 2 or any 2 Rescue Ace monsters, and you'll be able to use this as materials or banish from your graveyard to get out your Turbulence. Next up, play 1 King Therion King Regulus. The reason why it's only at 1 because it's an okay negate. It also allows you to bring back a machine monster. So next up, play 2 copies of Kashrita Fenrir. So Fenrir is basically your go first kind of card. So you basically special summon it first turn, and then it helps you set up your banish effects when your opponent starts to play during their turn. We play 3 copies of Ash Blossom for our standard hand trap, but this can also be placed by effect failure or anything that you see fit inside your locals. Moving on to our spell cards, so we play 1 copy of Terraforming for our field spell, 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army for our Searcher, 1 copy of 1-for-1 for another Searcher for our copy of Fire Hydrant, and then we play 3 copies of Prosperity because even though we're able to go in the extra deck, it's not necessarily the main go-to at the end of the day. So moving on to our Rescue Ace spells, we have 3 copies of the HQ field spell. So HQ allows you to gain attack and defense, and also gain another normal summon, which is really needed for the deck. If this card wasn't existed in the first place, this archetype would be unplayable. Would totally be 100% unplayable in this archetype. But since we do get the extra normal, and it allows us to extend a bit more into our Link 2s and whatnot, and it also allows you to play more around your opponent. So even though you might only end on 2 monsters, that's still an interaction at the end of the day. The secondary effect of this card is that you can target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished or in your graveyard, so this would be a monster, spell, or trap, and shuffle them back in the deck, then draw 1 card, which is really good in terms of this deck overall, because you do need that help at the end of the day. Next up, we'll play 2 copies of Alert. So Alert is basically this is your searcher. During your turn or your opponent's turn, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control Hydrant, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. So this also is just making sure you have Hydrant on the field is a must-have for a lot of these spells and trap cards. So moving on to our second spell, our Rescue. You can target 1 Rescue Ace monster in your graveyard, or if you control 1 Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard instead and special into your field. So this is also a good interaction just in case, like, oh, I want something in my opponent's graveyard, but I control Hydrant. But the main problem with this deck, in my opinion, is still having Hydrant on the field and having Turbulence on the field as well. Next up, we play, for a trap card, we play 1 copy of Sea Contained. So if we control a Rescue Ace monster, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. This turn, the effect monster cannot attack. Also, its effects are negated. And if you control Hydrant, at the resolution of the effect, that monster cannot be used as Fusion, Xyz, or Synchro, or Link Summon this turn. And then next up, we go for Extinguish. This card, if you control... Next up, we play 1 copy of Extinguish. If you control a Rescue Ace monster, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And then if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent cannot activate its effects of that destroyed monster. So that's somewhat counter to Tears, but it's not really. That's why you play the other last 3 cards in the deck, which are 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. But moving on to the extra deck now, we play 1 copy of Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. This also could be a different rank 7 that you want, Big Eye, or the new Cassia like monsters and whatnot. And then we have 1 copy of number 41, just a standard rank 4 Xyz package. For Link monsters, we play 1 copy of Underworld Closed World Goddess, and then we play 1 copy of Mech-Knight Crusadia Abramax. We play 1 copy of Axis Kotaker, 1 copy of Appaloosa, 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, because you'll have that level 7 or higher effect monster on the field. We play 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. We have Heat of the Fire Charmer because we are running a lot of fire monsters, so this is okay to run. And then if you play the Mirror Match, you'll be able to steal a monster, go into a Link 3. And then we play 1 copy of Nightmare Cerberus. Next up, we play 1 copy of Sprite Elf. This basically brings back your copy of IP Masquerena, and you could go into your other copies of Link monsters like Link 4 or higher, which is really good, especially during your opponent's turn. Next, the final 2 cards we play in our extra deck is Link Karibo and Ringlish Anima. These are just here to move off Rescue Ace Hydrant. So what you'll do is if you have Hydrant, normal summon it, go into one of these, and then if you do have your copy of the True King in your hand, destroy whatever you have, get that extra fire monster to the graveyard, and then hopefully you'll have Turbulence in hand, and that will allow you to set up your back row to bring back Hydrant, and then to activate the rest of your back row to... Well, that's it for this deck profile. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what your favorite archetype out of Amazing Defenders was. And remember to like and subscribe, and I'll be here next week for the Machina version. Alright, so sayonara.